Hello everyone. Question is, a company needs to migrate several applications to AWS. This will require storing more than 5,000 credentials. To meet compliance requirements, the company will use its existing passwords management system for key rotation, auditing, and integration with third-party secrets containers. The company has a limited budget and is seeking the most cost-effective solution that is still secure. How should the company accomplish this at the lowest cost? Option A. Configure the company's key management solution to integrate with AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. Option B. Configure the company's key management solution to integrate with AWS Secrets Manager. Option C. Use an Amazon S3 encrypted bucket to store the secrets and configure the applications with the appropriate roles to access the secrets. Option D. Configure the company's key management solution to integrate with AWS Cloud HSM. Correct answer is option D. Question is, a company has a web-based application using Amazon CloudFront and running on Amazon Elastic Container Service Amazon ECS behind an application load balancer ALB. The ALB is terminating TLS and balancing load across ECS service tasks. A security engineer needs to design a solution to ensure the application content is accessible only through CloudFront and that it is never accessible directly. How should the security engineer build the most secure solution? Option A. Add an origin custom header. Set the viewer protocol policy to HTTP and HTTPS. Set the origin protocol policy to HTTPS only. Update the application to validate the CloudFront custom header. Option B. Add an origin custom header. Set the viewer protocol policy to HTTPS only. Set the origin protocol policy to match viewer. Update the application to validate the CloudFront custom header. Option C. Add an origin custom header. Set the viewer protocol policy to redirect HTTP to HTTPS. Set the origin protocol policy to HTTP only. Update the application to validate the CloudFront custom header. Option D. Add an origin custom header. Set the viewer protocol policy to redirect HTTP to HTTPS. Set the origin protocol policy to HTTPS only. Update the application to validate the CloudFront custom header. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a large government organization is moving to the cloud and has specific encryption requirements. The first workload to move requires that a customer's data be immediately destroyed when the customer makes that request. Management has asked the security team to provide a solution that will securely store the data, allow only authorized application to perform encryption and decryption, and allow for immediate destruction of the data. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Use AWS Secrets Manager and an AWS SDK to create a unique secret for the customer-specific data. Option B. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS and the AWS Encryption SDK to generate and store a data encryption key for each customer. Option C. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS with service managed keys to generate and store customer-specific data encryption keys. Option D. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS and create an AWS Cloud HSM custom key store. Use Cloud HSM to generate and store a new CMK for each customer. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is Amazon Guard Duty has detected communications to a known command and control endpoint from a company's Amazon EC2 instance. The instance was found to be running a vulnerable version of a common web framework. The company's security operations team wants to quickly identify other compute resources with the specific version of that framework installed. Which approach should the team take to accomplish this task? Option A. Scan all the EC2 instances for non-compliance with AWS config. Use Amazon Athena to query AWS CloudTrail logs for the framework installation. Option B. Scan all the EC2 instances with the Amazon Inspector Network Reachability Rules package to identify instances running a web server with recognized port with listeners' findings. Option C. Scan all the EC2 instances with AWS Systems Manager to identify the vulnerable version of the web framework. Option D. Scan all the EC2 instances with the AWS Resource Access Manager to identify the vulnerable version of the web framework. Correct answer is option B. Question is a security engineer has noticed an unusually high amount of traffic coming from a single IP address. This was discovered by analyzing the application load balancer's access logs. How can the security engineer limit the number of requests from a specific IP address without blocking the IP address? Option A. Add a rule to the application load balancer to route the traffic originated from the IP address in question and show a static web page. Option B. Implement a rate-based rule with the AWS WAF. Option C. Use AWS Shield to limit the originating traffic hit rate. Option D. Implement the geolocation feature in Amazon Route 53. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is unapproved changes were previously made to a company's Amazon S3 bucket. A security engineer configured AWS config to record configuration changes made to the company's S3 buckets. The engineer discovers there are S3 configuration changes being made, but no Amazon SNS notifications are being sent. The engineer has already checked the configuration of the SNS topic and has confirmed the configuration is valid. Which combination of steps should the security engineer take to resolve this issue? Choose two options. Option A. Configure the S3 bucket ACLs to allow AWS config to record changes to the buckets. Option B. Configure policies attached to S3 buckets to allow AWS config to record changes to the buckets. Option C. Attach the Amazon S3 read-only access managed policy to IAM user. Option D. Verify the security engineer's IAM user has an attached policy that allows all AWS config actions. Option E. Assign the AWS config role managed policy to the AWS config role. Correct answer is option A and option D. Question is, a security engineer must develop an encryption tool for a company. The company requires a cryptographic solution that supports the ability to perform cryptographic and erasures on all resources protected by the key material in 15 minutes or less. Which AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS Key Solutions will allow the security engineer to meet these requirements? Option A. Use imported key material with CMK. Option B. Use an AWS KMS CMK. Option C. Use an AWS managed CMK. Option D. Use an AWS KMS customer managed CMK. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company deployed an Amazon EC2 instance to a VPC on AWS. A recent alert indicates that the EC2 instance is receiving a suspicious number of requests over an open TCP port from an external source. The TCP port remains open for a long period of time. The company's security team needs to stop all activity to this port from the external source to ensure that the EC2 instance is not being compromised. The application must remain available to other users. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Update the network ACL that is attached to the subnet that is associated with the EC2 instance. Add a deny statement for the port and the source IP addresses. Option B. Update the Elastic Network Interface security group that is attached to the EC2 instance to remove the port from the inbound rule list. Option C. Update the Elastic Network Interface security group that is attached to the EC2 instance by adding a deny entry in the inbound list for the port and the source IP addresses. Option D. Create a new network ACL for the subnet. Deny all traffic from the EC2 instance to prevent data from being removed. Correct answer is option D. Question is, a security engineer needs to build a solution to turn AWS CloudTrail back on in multiple AWS regions in case it is ever turned off. What is the most efficient way to implement this solution? Option A. Use AWS config with a managed rule to trigger the AWS Enable CloudTrail remediation. Option B. Create an Amazon event bridge, that is Amazon CloudWatch events event with a CloudTrail.AmazonAWS.com event source and a start logging event name to trigger an AWS Lambda function to call the start logging API. Option C. Create an Amazon CloudWatch alarm with a CloudTrail.AmazonAWS.com event source and a stop logging event name to trigger an AWS Lambda function to call the start logging API. Option D. Monitor AWS Trusted Advisor to ensure CloudTrail logging is enabled. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company needs to encrypt all of its data stored in Amazon S3. The company wants to use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS to create and manage its encryption keys. The company's security policies require the ability to import the company's own key material for the keys. Set an expiration date on the keys and delete keys immediately if needed. How should a security engineer set up AWS KMS to meet these requirements? Option A. Configure AWS KMS and use a custom key store. Create a custom managed CMK with no key material. Import the company's keys and key material into the CMK. Option B. Configure AWS KMS and use the default key store. Create an AWS managed CMK with no key material. Import the company's key and key material into the CMK. Option C. Configure AWS KMS and use the default key store. Create a customer managed CMK with no key material. Import the company's keys and key material into the CMK. Option D. Configure an AWS KMS and use a custom key store. Create an AWS managed CMK with no key material. Import the company's keys and key material into the CMK. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company has an application that uses an Amazon RDS PostgreSQL database. The company is developing an application feature that will store sensitive information for an individual in the database. During a security review of the environment, the company discovers that the RDS DB instance is not encrypting data at rest. The company needs a solution that will provide encryption at rest for all the existing data and for any new data that is entered for an individual. Which combination of options that the company used to meet these requirements? Choose two options. Option A. Create a snapshot of the DB instance. Copy the snapshot to a new snapshot and enable encryption for the copy process. Use the new snapshot to restore the DB instance. Option B. Modify the configuration of the DB instance by enabling encryption. Create a snapshot of the DB instance. Use the snapshot to restore the DB instance. Option C. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS to create a new default AWS managed AWS or RDS key. Select this key as the encryption key for operations with Amazon RDS. Option D. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS to create a new CMK. Select this key as an encryption key for operations with Amazon RDS. Option E. Create a snapshot of the DB instance. Enable encryption on the snapshot. Use the snapshot to restore the DB instance. Correct answer is option A and option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company is hosting a web application on Amazon EC2 instances behind an application load balancer ALB. The application has become the target of a DOS attack. Application logging shows that requests are coming from small number of client IP addresses, but the addresses change regularly. The company needs to block the malicious traffic with a solution that requires the least amount of ongoing effort. Which solution meets these requirements? Option A, create an AWS WAF rate-based rule and attach it to the ALB. Option B, update the security group that is attached to the ALB to block the attacking IP addresses. Option C, update the ALB subnet's network ACL to block the attacking client IP addresses. Option D, create a AWS WAF rate-based rule and attach it to the security group of the EC2 instances. Correct answer is option A. Question is, a public subnet contains two Amazon EC2 instances. The subnet has a custom network ACL. A security engineer is designing a solution to improve the subnet security. The solution must allow outbound traffic to an internet service that uses TLS through port 443. The solution also must deny inbound traffic that is destined for MySQL port 3306. Which network ACL rule set meets these requirements? Option A, use inbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Use inbound rule 200 to deny traffic on TCP port 3306. Use outbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Option B, use inbound rule 100 to deny traffic on TCP port 3306. Use inbound rule 200 to allow traffic on TCP port range 10242 to 65535. Use outbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Option C, use inbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port range 10242 to 65535. Use inbound rule 200 to deny traffic on TCP port 3306. Use outbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Option D, use inbound rule 100 to deny traffic on TCP port 3306. Use inbound rule 200 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Use outbound rule 100 to allow traffic on TCP port 443. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company has developed a new Amazon RDS database application. The company must secure the RDS database credentials for encryption in transit and encryption at rest. The company also must rotate the credentials automatically on a regular basis. Which solution meets these requirements? Option A, use AWS Systems Manager parameter store to store the database credentials. Configure automatic rotation of the credentials. Option B, use AWS Secrets Manager to store the database credentials. Configure automatic rotation of the credentials. Option C, store the database credentials in an Amazon S3 bucket that is configured with server-side encryption with S3 Managed Encryption Keys SSE S3. Rotate the credentials with IAM database authentication. Option D. Store the database credentials in Amazon S3 Glacier and use S3 Glacier Vault Lock. Configure an AWS Lambda function to rotate credentials on a scheduled basis. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company's development team is designing an application using AWS Lambda and Amazon Elastic Container Service Amazon ECS. The development team needs to create IAM roles to support these systems. The company's security team wants to allow the developers to build IAM roles directly, but the security team wants to retain control over the permissions the developers can delegate to those roles. The development team needs access to more permissions than those required for applications AWS services. The solution must minimize management overhead. How should the security team prevent privilege escalation for both teams? Option A. Enable AWS CloudTrail. Create a Lambda function that monitors the event history for privilege escalation events and notifies the security team. Option B. Create a managed IAM policy for the permissions required. Reference the IAM policy as a permissions boundary within the development team's IAM role. Option C. Enable AWS organizations. Create an SCP that allows the IAM create user action but that has a condition that prevents API calls other than those required by the development team. Option D. Create an IAM policy with a deny on the IAM create user action and assign the policy to the development team. Use a ticket system to allow the developers to request new IAM roles for their applications. The IAM roles will then be created by the security team. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a security engineer has enabled AWS Security Hub in their AWS account and has enabled the Central for Internet Security CIS AWS Foundation's compliance standard. The evaluation results on compliance are returned in the Security Hub console after several hours. The engineer wants to ensure that Security Hub can evaluate their resources for CIS AWS Foundation's compliance. Which steps should the security engineer take to meet these requirements? Option A. Add full Amazon Inspector IAM permissions to the Security Hub service role to allow it to perform the CIS compliance evaluation. Option B. Ensure that AWS Trusted Advisor is enabled in the account and that the Security Hub service role has permissions to retrieve the Trusted Advisor security-related recommended actions. Option C. Ensure that AWS config is enabled in the account and that the required AWS config rules have been created for the CIS compliance evaluation. Option D. Ensure that the correct trail in AWS CloudTrail has been configured for monitoring by Security Hub and that the Security Hub service role has permissions to perform the get object operation on CloudTrail's Amazon S3 bucket. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a security team is implementing a centralized logging solution to meet requirements for auditing. The solution must be able to aggregate logs from Amazon CloudWatch and AWS CloudTrail to an account that is controlled by the security team. This approach must be usable across the entire organization in AWS organizations. Which solution meets these requirements in the most operationally efficient manner? Option A, in each AWS account, create an Amazon Kinesis data firehose delivery stream that has a dimension of Amazon S3 in the security team's account. Create a subscription for each Amazon CloudWatch logs log group in each AWS account to the Kinesis data firehose delivery stream in the same account. For the organization, create a cloud trail that has a destination of Amazon S3. Option B, in the security team's account, create an Amazon Kinesis data firehose delivery stream that has a destination of Amazon S3 in the same account. Create a subscription for each Amazon CloudWatch logs log group in each AWS account to the Kinesis data firehose delivery stream in the security team's account. For each AWS account, create a cloud trail that has a destination of Amazon S3. Option C, in each AWS account, create an Amazon Kinesis data stream that has a destination of Amazon S3 in the security team's account. Create a subscription for each Amazon CloudWatch logs log group in each AWS account to the Kinesis data stream in the same account. For the organization, create a cloud trail that has a destination of Amazon S3. Option D, in the security team's account, create an Amazon Kinesis data stream that has a destination of Amazon S3 in the same account. Create a subscription for each Amazon CloudWatch logs log group in each AWS account to the Kinesis data stream in the security team's account. For each AWS account, create a cloud trail that has a destination of Amazon S3. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a security engineer has been tasked with implementing a solution that allows the company's development team to have interactive command line access to Amazon EC2 Linux instances using the AWS Management Console. Which steps should the security engineer take to satisfy this requirement, maintaining least privilege? Option A, enable AWS Systems Manager in the AWS Management Console and configure for access to EC2 instances using the default Amazon EC2 role for SSM role. Install the Systems Manager agent on all EC2 Linux instances that need interactive access. Configure IAM user policies to allow development team access to the Systems Manager Session Manager and attach to the team's IAM users. Option B, enable console SSH access in the EC2 console. Configure IAM user policies to allow development team access to the AWS Systems Manager Session Manager and attach to the development team's IAM users. Option C, enable AWS System Manager in the AWS Management Console and configure to access EC2 instances using the default Amazon EC2 roles for SSM role. Install the Systems Manager agent on EC2 Linux instances that need interactive access. Configure a security group that allows SSH port 22 from all published IP addresses. Configure IAM user policies to allow development team access to the AWS Systems Manager Session Manager and attach to the team's IAM users. Option D. Enable AWS Systems Manager in the AWS Management Console and configure to access EC2 instances using the default Amazon EC2 role for SSM role. Install the Systems Manager agent on all EC2 Linux instances that need interactive access. Configure IAM user policies to allow development team access to the EC2 console and attach to the team's IAM users. Correct answer is option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an organization has a multi-petabyte workload that it is moving to Amazon S3, but the CISO is concerned about cryptographic wear out and the blast radius if a key is compromised. How can the CISO be assured that AWS KMS and Amazon S3 are addressing the concerns? Choose two options. Option A. There is no API operation to retrieve an S3 object in its encrypted form. Option B. Encryption of S3 objects is performed within the security boundary of the KMS service. Option C. S3 uses KMS to generate a unique data key for each individual object. Option D. Using a single master key to encrypt all data includes having a single place to perform audits and uses validation. Option E. The KMS encryption envelope digitally signs the master key during encryption to prevent cryptographic wear out. Correct answer is option C and option D. Question is, during a manual review of system logs from an Amazon Linux EC2 instance, a security engineer noticed that there are pseudo commands that were never properly alerted or reported on the Amazon CloudWatch logs agent. Why were there no alerts on the pseudo commands? Option A. There is a security group blocking outbound port 80 traffic that is preventing the agent from sending the logs. Option B. The IAM instance profile on the EC2 instance was not properly configured to allow the CloudWatch logs agent to push the log to CloudWatch. Option C. CloudWatch logs status is set to on versus secure, which prevents it from pulling in OS security event logs. Option D. The VPC requires that all traffic go through a proxy and the CloudWatch logs agent does not support a proxy configuration. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, users report intermittent availability of a web application hosted on AWS. Monitoring systems report an excess of abnormal traffic, network traffic followed by high CPU utilization on the application web tier. Which of the following techniques will improve the availability of the application? Choose two options. Option A. Deploy AWS WAF to block all unsecured web applications from accessing the Internet. Option B. Deploy an intrusion detection or prevention systems IDS or IPS to monitor or block unusual incoming network traffic. Option C. Configure security groups to allow outgoing network traffic only from hosts that are protected with up-to-date antivirus software. Option D. Create Amazon CloudFront distribution and configure AWS WAF rules to protect the web applications from the malicious traffic. Option E. Use the default Amazon VPC for external facing systems to allow AWS to actively block malicious traffic between malicious network traffic affecting Amazon EC2 instances. Correct answer is option A and option B. Question is, a company has a VPC with several Amazon EC2 instances behind a NAT gateway. The company's security policy states that all network traffic must be logged and must include the original source and destination IP addresses. The existing VPC flow logs do not include this information. A security engineer needs to recommend a solution. Which combination of steps should the security engineer recommend? Choose two options. Option A. Edit the existing VPC flow logs. Change the log format of the VPC flow logs from the Amazon default format to a custom format. Option B. Delete and recreate the existing VPC flow logs. Change the log format of the VPC flow logs from the Amazon default format to a custom format. Option C. Change the destination to Amazon CloudWatch logs. Option D. Include the PKT SCRA-DDR and PKT DSTA-DDR fields in the log format. Option E. Include the subnet ID and instance ID fields in the log format. Correct answer is option B and option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company uses multiple AWS accounts managed with AWS organizations. Security engineers have created a standard set of security groups for all these accounts. The security policy requires that these security groups be used for all applications and delegates modification authority to the security team only. A recent security audit found that the security groups are inconsistently implemented across accounts and that unauthorized changes have been made to the security groups. A security engineer needs to recommend a solution to improve consistency and to prevent unauthorized changes in the individual accounts in the future. Which solution should the security engineer recommend? Option A. Use AWS Resources Access Manager to create shared resources for each required security group and apply an IAM policy that permits read-only access to the security groups only. Option B. Create an AWS CloudFormation template that creates the required security groups. Execute the template as part of the configuring new accounts. Enable Amazon Simple Notification Service Amazon SMS notifications when changes occur. Option C. Use AWS Firewall Manager to create a security group policy. Enable the policy feature to identify and revert local changes and enable automatic remediation. Option D. Use AWS Control Tower to edit the Account Factory template to enable the Share Security Groups option. Apply an SCP to the OU or individual accounts that prohibits security group modifications from local account users? Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is a company's Security Information Events Management SIEM tool receives new AWS CloudTrail logs from an Amazon S3 bucket that is configured to send all object created event notifications to an Amazon SNS topic. An Amazon SQS queue is subscribed to this SNS topic. The new company's CIEM tool then polls this SQS queues for new messages using an IAM role and fetches new log events from the S3 bucket based on the SQS messages. After a recent security review that resulted in restricted permissions, the SIEM tool has stopped receiving new CloudTrail logs. Which of the following are possible causes of this issue? Choose three options. Option A, the SQS queue does not allow the SQS send message action from the SNS topic. Option B, the SNS topic does not allow the SNS publish action from Amazon S3. Option C, the SNS topic is not delivering raw messages to the SQS queue. Option D, the S3 bucket policy does not allow CloudTrail to perform the put object action. Option E, the IAM role used by the SIEM tool does not have permission to subscribe to the SNS topic. Option F, the IAM role used by the SIEM tool does not allow the SQS delete message action. Correct answer is option B, D, and option E. Question is, which of the following are valid configuration for using SSL certificates with Amazon CloudFront? Choose three options. Option A, default AWS Certificate Manager certificate. Option B, custom SSL certificate stored in AWS KMS. Option C, default CloudFront certificate. Option D, custom SSL certificate stored in AWS Certificate Manager. Option E, default SSL certificate stored in AWS Secrets Manager. Option F, custom SSL certificate stored in AWS IAM. Correct answer is option A, C, and option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company is setting up products to deploy in AWS Service Catalog. Management is concerned that when users launch products, elevated IAM privileges will be required to create resources. How should the company mitigate this concern? Option A, add a template constraint to each product in the portfolio. Option B, add a launch constraint to each product in the portfolio. Option C, define resource update constraints for each product in the portfolio. Option D, update the AWS Cloud Formation template backing the product to include a service role configuration. Correct answer is option B. Question is, a company needs to retain log data archives for several years to be compliant with regulations. The log data is no longer used, but it must be retained. What is the most secure and cost-effective solution to meet these requirements? Option A, archive the data to Amazon S3 and apply a restrictive bucket policy to deny the S3 delete object API. Option B. Archive the data to Amazon S3 Glacier and apply a vault lock policy. Option C. Archive the data to Amazon S3 and replicated it to a second bucket in the second AWS region. Choose the S3 standard infrequent access S3 standard IA storage class and apply a restricted bucket policy to deny the S3 delete object API. Option D. Mitigate the log data to a 16 TB Amazon Elastic Block Store Amazon EBS volume. Create a snapshot of the EBS volume. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a development team is using an AWS key management service AWS KMS CMK to try to encrypt and decrypt a secure string parameter from AWS Systems Manager parameter store. However, the development team receives an error message on each attempt. Which issues that are related to the CMK could be reasons for the error? Choose two options. Option A. The CMK is used in the attempt does not exist. Option B. The CMK is used in the attempt needs to be rotated. Option C. The CMK is used in the attempt is using the CMK's key ID instead of the CMK ARN. Option D. The CMK is used in the attempt is not enabled. Option E. The CMK is used in the attempt is using an alias. Correct answer is option B and option E. Question is, a company is running an Amazon RDS multi-agent DB instance inside a VPC. The DB instance is using two subnets that provide a default route to the internet through a NAT gateway. The company also has application servers that run on Amazon EC2 instances that use the RDS databases. The company has deployed these EC2 instances into two other private subnets within the same VPC. These EC2 instances use a default route to access the internet through the same NAT gateway. Each subnet in the VPC uses its own unique route table. After a recent security audit, the company added a new security requirement. The DB instance must never be able to connect to the internet. A security engineer must make this change immediately without disrupting the application server's network traffic. How can the security engineer meet these requirements? Option A. Remove the existing NAT gateway. Create a new NAT gateway that only the application server subnets can use. Option B. Configure the DB instance's inbound network ACL to deny traffic from the security group ID of the NAT gateway. Option C. Modify the route tables of the DB instance subnets to remove the default route to the NAT gateway. Option D. Configure the route table of the NAT gateway to deny connections to the DB instance subnets. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company has a new AWS account that does not have AWS CloudTrail configured. The account has an IAM access key that was issued by AWS Security Token Service AWS SCS. A security engineer discovers that the IAM access key has been compromised within the last 24 hours. The security engineer must stop the compromised IAM access key from being used. The security engineer also must determine which activities the key has been used for so far. What should the security engineer do to meet these requirements? Option A, in the CloudTrail console under CloudTrail event history, search by access key for the compromised key with the correlated events and identify which IAM user the key belongs to. In the IAM console, revoke all active sessions for that IAM user. Option B, create a new CloudTrail trail. In the CloudTrail console under the CloudTrail event history, search by access key for the compromised key. View the correlated events and identify which IAM user the key belongs to. In the IAM console, revoke all active sessions for that IAM user. Option C, create a new CloudTrail trail. In the CloudTrail console under the CloudTrail event history, search by access key for the compromised key. View the correlated events and identify which IAM role the key belongs to. In the IAM console, delete that IAM role. Option D, in the CloudTrail console under CloudTrail event history, search by access key for the compromised key, view the correlated events and identify which IAM role the key belongs to. In the IAM console, revoke all active sessions for that IAM role. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a large company has hundreds of AWS accounts. The company needs to provide its employees with access to these accounts. The solution must minimize scalability and operational efficiency. Which solution meets these requirements? Option A, with each AWS account, create dedicated IAM users that employees can assume through federation based upon group memberships in their existing identity provider. Option B, use a centralized account with IAM roles that employees can assume through federation with their existing identity provider. Create a custom authorizer by using AWS SDK to give federated users the ability to assume their target role in the resource accounts. Option C, implement AWS Control Tower for multi-account management by integrating AWS single sign-on with the company's existing identity provider. Create IAM roles for the identity provider to assume. Option D, configure the IAM trust policies within each account's role to set up a trust back to the company's existing identity provider. Allow users to assume the role based on their SAML token. Correct answer is option B. Question is, a company recently set up Amazon Guard Duty and is receiving a high number of findings from IP addresses within the company. A security engineer has verified that these IP addresses are trusted and allowed. Which combination of steps should the security engineer take to configure guard duty so that it does not produce findings for these IP addresses? Choose two options. Option A, create a plain text configuration file that contains the trusted IP addresses. Option B, create a JSON configuration file that contains the trusted IP addresses. Option C, upload the configuration file directly to guard duty. Option D. Upload the configuration file to Amazon S3. Add a new trusted IP list to guard duty that points to the file. Option E. Manually copy and paste the configuration file data into the trusted IP list in the guard duty. Correct answer is option D and option E. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.